Great.
Yes.
Well, again, welcome everyone to this training. Really, our goal here is to give you some guidance on mostly where to find things, because as secretary, there's a lot to learn. But I want to say too, you're going to learn a lot about all the benefits RI has and areas where you can easily learn, pick up what each role is, not just the secretary role, but each role. Okay, now if I can get my slide won't move. Okay, there we go. So part of this is really taking you to the Learning Center. It is, I got to tell you, 10 years ago, I really wish this existed when I was president. In there is a whole role for the club secretary, and taking that online, the courses is really helpful. Attending the Leadership Assembly, which you're doing now, and obviously working with your outgoing secretary. For those who have secretaries you're transitioning, that's really helpful, obviously, because now you're learning from someone who's been doing it for a while. So those resources, when you go to RI website, there's the home, learning reference, learn by roles, and then club roles. And you'll be able to see some things that some are general, like these Be a Vibrant Club, the club leadership plan. You're part of that, so it's good to understand that. And as secretary, you need to know your club constitution and your club bylaws. Very dry reading, but something you need to know, and something that should be looked at every year. When they make changes, RI will make bylaw changes, and that often flows down. And so just something you want to do very often. Every few years, a club will take that as a project with the club secretary leading a committee who will just kind of walk through, make sure your bylaws are up to date. And then there's all these website learning tools. Again, just such a great resource to go walk you through step by step how to pay or view your club invoice, how to update your club membership data. There's a separate thing about Rotary Club Central. That's where each club should go in and put their goals for the year. That's where they ask the president to do it. But again, usually the secretary role is assisting the president, maybe assisting the treasurer. You're kind of in a role making sure you understand where everything goes. So going in there and playing in the Rotary Club Central helps you understand where they are and what your club's doing. And the nice thing, you can check other clubs. What are they doing? And then there's a discussion group for club secretaries who might want to join, because now if you have questions, you have a whole group of people you can go ahead and reach out to. So when you go into the Learning Center and you click on that role for club secretary, there's 11 courses designed. Each level has these courses. A couple of the courses in each one is the same. Example, we have things on harassment we all have to know. Things about protecting privacy data. So if you take this course, the nice thing about this thing, that Learning Center, is it tracks it for you. And let's say you want to go and let me go take a peek at club president duties. It won't make you take those courses again. It just keeps track of the courses you do take. And then you get little certificates after each one to say basically you've accomplished it. And I really recommend you walk through these courses. I'll go through them briefly. So one is just learning the Learning Center. It helps you understand how to go through the Learning Center, how to discover it, where the features are, how it keeps track. So that's just the first tool, is how to use the center itself. And then the second one is getting ready for club secretary. So online tools, where's the membership information, and different questions often asked for getting ready to be a club secretary. And there's administration, where you get into reporting procedures, membership data, preparing for district events, because often you are the person who's getting on information to your club about what's coming, what to do, and encouraging them to participate. And then there's these club administration, there's download guide. Each one of these has the ability to download some information or guides. And what I suggest is you just create a file and put these in them. It's such a great resource when you have a question, because we all have day jobs. This is not our full-time job. And so having a place where you can easily find access the information, that's really what we're talking about, giving you the tools to find and access the information. It talks about working with your club leaders, how you work together, how you organize the team, how you work with your club members. And then using a club management system. Many of our clubs have, am I thinking of, Bill? Many of our clubs have Club Runner, excuse me, there you go. And so it doesn't matter if it's Club Runner or not, it'll teach you how to perform tasks using a management system. And that's important too. If you do use a management system, it's great because like Club Runner, when you do data or your members update, it automatically flows. You don't have to fill out some reports if you're using those systems. Finances. So there are certain obligations that it depends on your club and the size of your club. Sometimes people have a secretary and a treasurer together, but you should know what the treasurer roles are because often you're crossing, you might be doing the invoices and the treasurer might be doing something differently, acknowledging them. So that's something you want to have an idea about the finances. You'll learn about that, how to protect personal data. We mentioned that. And in this world today, it's important. We just on a district call the other day where somebody wanted to download all the data and put it in a different database for a good reason, but the legal part went, no, you cannot download our people's data without their permission. You gotta be careful about how we use it and where it goes. Online membership leads. So as a club secretary, you'll have access. You'll start getting these membership leads. And usually it's a Rotarian who's moved and they've now moved in your area. And they're, we want to encourage them to look at the local clubs and get engaged. So it's a great tool for you. You might have a membership chair you send these to. You might do it, but again, to understand how that works in that system. Then Rotary Club Central, again, that's where you're going to get into exactly how you manage those leads. And Rotary Club Central and Rotary Club Showcase, if you haven't been in them, are something you'll want to get some access to. Rotary Club Central is where your goals are put. So you set it up for the district governor who knows for each club and what their goals are for the year. And it also gives you a guide like what everybody's doing. Rotary Club Showcase is where you showcase your big projects, what you do, what you've achieved, how many volunteer hours you used. And it's a great tool to keep track of the great things your club does. I can tell you when I was working on the club awards, it was fantastic. When people would ask me what they might do, there's 52 clubs who do all kinds of events. And you could just go in there and look at everybody's. And it's all about sharing, transparency, and so just knowing, those are great tools for you to use. And then, of course, preventing and addressing harassment in today's world. It's required as a club leader that you're aware of it and you're able to help, if you see it in your group. So basically, the duties, it's what you do. It's maintaining your membership records, updating the club membership data. If you are really good working with your teams or your members, you're having them do this. We know that some people have more of a challenge with that, with computers. So sometimes as a secretary, you may have a day where you say, hey, anybody have any changes, come to the back table and I'll help you, right? You can help them log in and get it done. So there's a lot of ways you can assist the membership. So something you might do, but also something you might, get the members used to updating and doing that, because that really takes a load off. There's invoices from Rotary on July 1 and January 1. And so you want to make sure that when you get those dates, your membership is accurate. So that's where you want to have, if someone has left and you haven't noticed that, or there's about people leaving and people adding, and you want to make sure those are accurate, especially on those dates. So they send the club invoice, but you can opt out of paper. But again, if you keep that accurate, it just automatically happens with Club Runner. So, life's good if you use that. You maintain your minutes of the club, of the board and committee meetings. So actions during the meeting and then at the board meeting. Committee meetings often have their own scribe, but you could be part of that and asked to do that. And of course, working with your incoming secretary to ensure a real smooth transition. And the general reporting requirements, and by the way, we'll have, at the end of this, just so you know, we'll have resource pages. And on the website, we had put a lot of backup for you. There's information in California, Nevada, and just so you know, we put a lot of that on there for you. Just take, download them, have them in your back pocket if they come up and you need them. But you have the semi-annual invoices, the club attendance. The Rotary Foundation, you may have a foundation chair, you may not. You make sure you're doing that giving and that's working properly. The member changes, and of course, a lot of people just asking questions. That's another tool that if you go through the Learning Center, you'll be better prepared to answer questions of your people. And now I'm going to turn it over to Bill to kind of get into the other parts.
If you'll unshare,
Sure.
can you unshare that? Thank you.
I did.
So some of the key points that you have to concern yourself with is fiduciary responsibility. And we all know sort of what it was, but I decided I did some Googling to see what they said online. An individual in whom another has placed the utmost trust and confidence to manage and protect property and money. The relationship wherein one person has an obligation to act for another's benefit. Another way that one said is the acceptance of responsibility to act in the best interests of another person or entity. So I thought that certainly puts it in. You know, I always just really stuck on trust, building confidence. And a lot of that is total openness. Everything you do should be transparent. Financial responsibility. Well, yeah, that's pretty straightforward, but Googling says the process of managing money and other assets in a manner that is considered productive in the best interest of the individual or family. Another one, being prepared for the unexpected, because it always happens. And of course, you have to make sure you have adequate, appropriate assurance for your club for the things that you're doing. Okay. There we go. So first, and Larry mentioned this, and I'm going to reinforce it. A lot of what we're talking about, you actually don't have to do everything. There should be other people doing some of these things. Your job is to make sure it's happening. So, you know, so the budget, in most cases, I think budget's going to be put together by the president and the treasurer working together. But you need to make sure it's happening. And you need then to make sure that it is being followed. And I personally encourage clubs to have a line, and a lot of clubs won't do this, of funds that at the discretion of the president and or board, something that's not defined, because always things come up that you weren't expecting. So having that was very important. And when my background was chemistry, and I worked in big corporations, and I always had sections in my budgets that covered that one way or another. I had that, whether they knew it or not. I had sections that allowed me to have money for things that weren't originally planned. And again, being totally transparent. So part of it is putting a lot of this stuff, like having the budget and the budget versus actual, on Club Runner. If you go on to the member area in Club Runner, there's a section called documents, and you could build a folder for budget, and you could just put the upcoming one and make that available so that members can look at it if they choose, and make sure they know they can. So Rotary clubs are by IRS code tax exempt, but you do need to file, you have the 990 filed. Now, obviously, you'd expect a treasurer or an accountant to handle that. Again, you need to make sure those things are happening, that 990 gets in a timely manner. Because then it can cause lots of problems by not filing that. Tax. In California, there's a franchise tax, and you need to file for a tax exempt status with the franchise tax board, because even if you do not, you'll have at least a minimum $800 fee. So you need to follow through on that. or make sure it's being handled. You have to file with the Attorney General's office, and that is, they actually look at what clubs are, or what nonprofits are doing versus what they say they're going to do, and keep people on track. That kind of help is not what you really want. So just file with them and be straightforward in what you're doing. There is a sales tax exemption in California, but apparently it is very narrow in scope. And it's a few specific things. It's in Nevada, it's across the board, but you will get a document that will be sent to you. Larry will be sending out, that will include information on the specific things that can be tax exempt. In Nevada, you have to send a list of officers to the Secretary of State. Every year that has to happen. They need to have that filed so they know if there's ever an issue, who they should contact. You also must register with the Secretary of State so you can solicit donations. And finally, you have to file with the Department of Taxation to get a sales tax exemption, and that is across the board. Insurance. RI maintains insurance for all the Rotary clubs. It is a line item on the RI dues in July. You'll see a separate line, and that's why one of the main reasons there's a variation between July and January bills, because you have that insurance. But the insurance you get is strictly general liability and D&O insurance, or directors and officers insurance. Bodily injury and property damage is not included. So this really is saying the same thing. It is, D&O and general liability is well covered. If you want to get a lot of information and get a certificate frequently, if you have an event in a different venue, you need to supply them with a certificate of insurance. And you can get a lot of information about the insurance, but also have a way of getting that certificate by going to the member resources on the district website. And then in that drop-down menu, you select documents, forms, and insurance. And there is a section with quite a few options that you can pick between on that and to get information. It's also, if you do have an incident, where you would go to email the Rotary International risk management team about what's happening, and also file with the insurance company. Now, you do not have to write this down. You're going to get a copy of this presentation. You can also, most of this information will be on that website that the district website. But this is all the information, and Gallagher Insight is the insurance broker that RI works with. And as you can see, there's all this information here for dealing with different issues. So I don't know. My impression is I only had to deal with this kind of thing when we had events. And most events are not an issue, since bodily injury is not included in property damage, not included. If you're doing something that may have issues, you either need to get additional insurance, or you need to have people sign a waiver before they participate. Most of the time, that's not an issue. Most of the kind of events that Rotary handles doesn't bring those issues forward. Here is a sample budget. Most budgets, though, are done by taking last year's budget and saying going through it with the mindset of what are we doing differently this year than we did last year. Also looking at budget versus actual for the previous year to say what kind of adjustments might be appropriate. But sometimes it's useful to start from ground zero and build the budget up. But you have to make sure that you're covering everything. And this is a good example of where you can get that. Now, I found this, I did a lot of searching on the district website. And what I did was ended up searching for webinar sample budget. And it came up right away. It was no problem. It was the first thing that showed up. So if you want to start with this kind of a baseline, build it from the bottom up approach, this is a great starting point. So what do? Obviously, you have to stay well connected with the president and the board and the committee, especially the committee chairs. You need to know what's going on in the club because you're the first person people come to ask questions about. And you want to be able to answer their questions as best you can. So staying connected will help you be able to answer a high percentage of questions that come forward. For board meetings, you have to take notes and issue minutes. And once they're approved, you need to be able to archive them. Again, the documents section in the member area of Club Runner is a great place to archive them. And you can have a lot of different folders for different things that you might want. And board meeting minutes might be one. You would also, in general, you won't be writing the minutes for the different committees. They should have secretary, someone doing the minutes, but you can then file them. So you can have a youth committee meeting minutes folder, and you could have a international committee meeting minutes in that folder. So, but keeping it visible and available to the membership will keep everyone feeling like they know what's going on and comfortable where the club's going. If there are notices that come through, you need to make sure that the board and the committee meeting members all know what's going on and what is needed. And it's a two-way street. You know, if they have something and you need to inform the district, or if the district's doing something and you need to inform the appropriate people, that is a key point. Bylaws, again, they should be on your document section of the member area. And so if you keep them there, people will see them. And when they are updated, you need to update. Bylaws can be modified. You know, there's the RI set of club bylaws, but you can make some changes, mostly additions to the bylaws. You have to be careful about that, but the club constitution, it is what it is. So the special requests that might come, again, you need to make sure that everyone is aware of them. Now, the last item, as I said, I'm also the district grants subcommittee chair, which is part of the foundation chair. And in the steering committee, they have made the decision that you will not be able to get a grant of either district or global unless you're conforming to the public image standards. And this is what that shows you is the brand center on RI, that you can see all what is required. We're going to heavily focus on the rotary wheels and make sure that those are correct. We will look beyond that, but that's the first thing we're going to look at. But in an effort to get Rotary clubs across the world to be consistent, this is the kind of things that's happening, is we're trying to get people to think about it. In addition, if you are going to have signs frequently in a district grant where you're doing a community project, you want to put a sign up that your Rotary Club did this. We want to make sure those signs conform to the public image standards. And we will be required to send those in with your district grant for review, and requesting not to start the process of buying those signs until it's been approved, because it would be poor to have to go back and change it. So, common duties. You have to schedule and document meetings, as we've already talked about. You are a club board member, and per the council legislation. That's just required. Some clubs make you a non-voting member, some do not. I think that is a choice of the clubs. I've seen it go both ways. Your job is to preserve club records, and digital by far, in somewhere in the cloud, and Club Runner is a cloud type of source, is a great way, because keeping paper copies of all this and being transparent to your membership would be very difficult. So digital way of storing and saving records is very important. You need to, we've said this several times, make sure the member data is up to date. And the nice thing about it is when you enter the information, it flows up to the district and to the RI. You do, I think I have on the next slide. Yes, I'll get to the attendance component next. You have to make sure everyone has a proper name badge. Most of the time, most people come in and they stay with the same name badge, but if they're the president or a past president, you need to update those name badges. And of course, all the new ones, and you have the red badge and the blue badges. And of course, many people that come to your club as a visitor and are a Rotarian would like to get something to show that they can show to their own club that they were there. So make cards available that they can, and you can help them with. Club Runner is a great tool. It makes your life easier. It makes everyone's in the club's life easier. Once you enter it, it flows to the district and RI on a lot of different components. In the attendance reporting is automated in many ways, but some clubs have a tool that allows the people to sign in, and it automatically goes to Club Runner. Others, you have to take attendance and enter that attendance into your Club Runner file, but that's all you ever do, because everything else automatically flows to both the district and RI. Club Constitution, that is you just bring it down from RI, and as I said, the Constitution you really can't change. It is the one, it stays as is, and you just need to make sure everyone knows that there's a new version of the Constitution, and if you can, tell them what's changed. So what else might you be interested in learning about today? Any questions?
I have a question.
Sure.
On the Learning Center, I'm not sure, do I go to Rotary International to get in there, or to the district to get in there?
The RI, My Rotary is where you go.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay.
Other questions?
That was my question too. Thank you for asking it.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll get the presentation. Actually, it'll say up there, it says go into RI and it kind of tells go to reference.
Okay.
So if you follow that chain, it's pretty simple though. Once you get in your My Rotary, it's not hard to look it up.
Okay.
Someone said there was a discussion group for secretaries.
Yes, there's also, you can join a group there and basically be on a, a chat for all secretaries. So, you'll get notices when people have questions, et cetera. And no better way, I think, of learning and sharing with other people doing the same thing you are. Do the same thing in HR.
And when you take all that, it's secretary training in the Learning Center, there's an option for signing up for that in that process.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
So there was a suggestion that there's a certification for secretaries.
Yeah, so once you finish each one, you'll actually get they'll send you a little certification that you finished that class.
Okay.
And then once you've finished all the 11 modules, it's a nice little, hey, good job. But it's also to show that you have completed them, to send it off. You might want to send your club president to things like that, you've completed them. And, but it really helps you. Like I said, we could try to sit here and teach you everything. And like most would forget by next week, half of this stuff. Now to show you where to find it and easily look it up. And most of the time, I actually went in each of those modules and everything downloadable. I just put into my secretary file. And now you can just go in there, click on it, tells me how to enter a member, how to do this. It's great. That's why I like it. It's step by step, because it's not something we do every day, right? It's something you're doing for a meeting each week, and then you're doing something at the maybe the monthly meetings. So it's great to have a resource like this.
And I did the exact same thing, by the way. When I went through the secretary training, I created that file
Yes.
and downloaded everything to it. So now if a question comes up, I know where to go look.
I have a question. On submitting the attendance report, it says by the 15th. Say, for instance, I'm on vacation somewhere and I don't get it there until maybe 20 days later. Is that a problem? Can you go back and fix it? Or is it closed after the 15th? Or how does that work?
So do you have Club Runner?
Yes.
It will automatically upgrade whether you're there or not.
But
Yes.
don't I have to let them know what our attendance is? Isn't there an area where I have to check the box who was there?
Well, yes, you're right. If you're not keeping up to date, but you can adjust on the next
So I can
cycle.
go back. I can go back and
Yeah.
change. For instance, somebody sends me a makeup, but they're late getting it to me. I can go
Right.
back and change it.
So this is an awkward part now with Rotary, in that it used to be very specific about attendance. We really monitored it. And now with the advent of passport clubs and online, they've relaxed it a lot. So there's still many Rotarians who want to be acknowledged for it. And a lot of clubs are like to know that they're getting 80% attendance or whatever it might be. So you want to do that, but it's not as strong a requirement as it used to be, because we're trying to encourage people to come to the club that maybe can't make every meeting.
Right.
So yeah, it's kind of an interesting thing. So it's not really a shot against you. It's usually more for your club records and what you're doing and how your enrollment is, how people come into meetings, right? It's more for you.
Thank you.
Other questions? Well, then let me move. These are online resources. And remember, you're getting a copy of this presentation, so you can, when you get it, you can copy and paste these into your into the URL and bring all these things up. The contact center is a very useful place to get information. My Rotary or Rotary.org is also very useful. There's a lot of information on the district website too, especially in the grants area, I'll tell you. Zone 25 and 26 has a lot of really, really good information, and just perusing it a little bit to get a feel for what that is useful. So, and the next one is the Nevada Secretary of State one for charitable organizations. And then you have my email and Larry's email.
So if I can, so this is again back to, we did have actual PDFs for the California. There were no PDFs for Nevada. That's why we gave the link. And as Bill said, zone, we are zone. We're in this zone. And so your district zone level. And we got some really incredible people that the more people you add, seems like they keep moving up. So for those in your future, secretary to president, you want to get involved in the district, there are so many ways that you can just keep going and going. We have a lot of people in high positions in our zone that are from our district, but it does have tons of resources on even more clubs and what they're doing. So, just going and looking at it is worth a 10-minute search.
So I need to make a correction there. I just suddenly dawned on me, I was looking at this. This year they changed the zone. We are actually zone 26 and 27.
Oh, we'll redo the link.
Okay. Before you send it out, yeah.
Okay. Good catch, Bill. That was a
And
change.
one other thing, when he sends out this information, which is here on this page, you get the copy of the PowerPoint, the RS bulletin, the California information, but we'll also send you 2 PDFs that have information about the proper rotary wheel so that you can make sure that your club, and we're talking your website, club runner, social media, any place, or Sonics that you need to make changes. Make sure that you're conforming to the current standards. We'd hate to have something like that stand in the way of getting a grant. And other questions?
I do. When you send all this information out to us, are you sending it to us in an email or how is it coming?
Most of this is actually, they posted for this class. So if you go to the rally, we were told we sent almost all of this to them to post. So if you go there, you should find the California, everything but the website. So I believe there is a copy of the presentation on there. I'll get it adjusted with Brett. And if not, we will email that one out to you.
And
Let us know if
Go ahead.
let us know if you can't find them, but that we were told they put the logo, the brand center information should be on the link that for these participants link to this class.
Do you know how long they'll be keeping that up?
They're still keeping the one up from rally last week, for people. I think it'll be up for a while because they'll also record these sessions and those will be available. Anybody wants to go back and record it. If you have anybody in your club or some other club you hear about, they'll be able to go and link and follow this, as well as getting all those, all the attachments.
So here, please fill out the online evaluation also.
Yeah, I believe you'll get a link soon, evaluation.
Okay.
So
And anything good, it was the guy in the blue shirt. Anything bad, it was the guy in the blue shirt.
So I'm trying to think of what else might be of importance at this point. I think we're here to help. I mean, that's what the district is all about. It isn't about running things and telling you what to do, but we are resources for you to be able to do what you're doing well.
Well, thank you very much.
Yes, thank
Okay.
you. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank all of
Yeah.
you, attendants.
And the
Yep.
club runner thing is new. Like I said, I was secretary about 10 years ago, but we didn't
Yes.
have club runner then. So this is all
Totally
new.
different.
Yeah.
Totally different. Such an improvement if you're using it. And it takes a while for a club to get used to it, but the data you can keep, all the committees can keep their data. That takes a while to get everybody to do. But I'll tell you, as I remember, just a quick story. I was one president before me, 2 years before me, man, she had everything buttoned up. Great files, and this is what we do. And I gave to the next president, good friend of mine. And at the end of his year, I said, hey, where's that file? And he went and we met and he gave it to me and goes, yeah, I never opened it. Never touched it. And that just shows you a transition of every president every year. Things don't always transition well. So putting it in a place where you can keep it electronically helps everyone, you know, incoming presidents, every role. So just, I think it's amazingly so much better.
You always are getting people to say, you know, what youth project did we do last year? And if having a file of youth committee meeting minutes, you can figure it out. You know, whatever it is, you know, and you don't have to be the secretary. You don't have to be on the board. That's a area that should be open to the whole membership.
Well, I can tell you too, over time, Bill, you're right in that, like on the Sparks, and you think you know everything, and all of a sudden when the older member says, well, we already put those buses down there 20 years ago. We already put benches. We did a ball field. We have our name on a ball field somewhere. We're like, what? We had no idea. We went over there to clean it up and offered new grass and all those things. And just that history is so important to remember, and it gets lost if you don't have this. So this is a great tool.
Yeah.
Good. Terrific.
Okay. Well,
Thank you all. Give you a few minutes back
you.
to your day.
yes. Okay.
Really appreciate
Bye-bye.
your
Bye.
expertise and your knowledge.
Thank you, Matt.
Yeah,
Okay.
thank you.